Good morning, Mr. Harris.
How you doing?
How's
Good
it
morning,
going?
Mr. Harvey.
I've been, you've been on my teaks list and I think we've done two walkthroughs, two formatives,
Yes, sir.
and we're getting ready to do our summative. And as documented throughout this process, you've always been given threes. It's appropriate, it's good, and I think you and I, we talked about how to take it to another level.
Yes, sir.
And we came up with a couple of concerns, and I think DI seems to be the general concern across the board, across the state. It's just not your class and what you're doing. And I think that the most difficult part for me is what I deem DI may not be your definition of DI. And I think we've come to a common ground about at least starting in a direction to where you're comfortable with it. What I've seen in the past is your classes are mostly, you are the vocal point in your teaching, and it's been very successful because prior to me getting here, I understand that your growth was the highest in the school, and from what the test scores this year, it shows that your growth is extremely high again. So you are indeed successful with what you're doing, but my goal is to make you a master, help make you a master at what you're doing. And first of all, let me say I appreciate you being open to it. You know, a lot of times educators, we are very territorial, and we don't like for people to come in and voice their opinions about it. And it shows that you're growing professionally to even accept this type of conversation. And I think the main thing that we talked about was you spending some time in some other classrooms.
Right.
And I think we've chosen a gifted classroom and a regular ed classroom.
Right.
And I also would like for some teachers to come in and see how you sort of hold your children's feet to the fire about the information that you give them. I would like for some other teachers to come in and see how you're not afraid to tell your students that you don't know that answer, and it's not pertaining to what you're teaching. It's just a question that they've come up with within what you are teaching. That says to me that you're genuine in what you're doing. It also shows the students that you build a sense of teamwork with them, because your replies to that, okay, I don't know it, but let's find it together. And I think originality is something that's very important, and genuineness is equally important. And when we're trying to get this information to these students, numbers don't lie, and your numbers are good. Your numbers are good. I've never come in this classroom or either passed this classroom and I did not hear you or see you teaching. And as an administrator, that's what we look for. It's very difficult to do bell-to-bell teaching, but I think you put your best foot forward in doing that. And one of the main teachers that I want, she's a gifted teacher and she teaches science as well. You've agreed to go spend some time with this young lady, and you can choose whether you want to see her do a present a lesson, or present a lab, or whatever you want to do. That's totally up to you. But I feel, and this is my personal opinion, I feel that you are on the brink of being a pioneer, a trailblazer, being one of the best at your craft. And when people see that and people take interest in it and they want to help you get to another level, that speaks volumes about what you're doing. And I think all right, we've agreed that DI will be the area that we look at for the remainder of the year and next year.
Right.
With that being said, what would be your definition? How would DI look if I walk into your room? What do you think DI is?
We're just giving an overall definition of DI. I think it's when you differentiate the instruction or design it where it meets the needs of all learners.
Okay.
Everybody learns differently. Some are at different levels as we get them.
Absolutely.
So therefore, we need to kind of meet them where they are to
That's
get
right.
that growth. Everybody might not be on the same level when they leave, but from where they were, they should at least have shown some growth to that point.
Absolutely.
And in order to get there, you have to differentiate the lessons.
That's right.
And I do realize that is an area that I'm kind of weak in because it takes planning.
Yeah.
And once you have that planning done, it kind of takes care of itself, but it takes planning. The initial start of it is what takes the longest.
Yeah, it is. It is. Now I can remember they changed what DI looks like or the definition of DI. When I first started doing it, it was called learning centers.
Wow.
And I think I still see learning centers in the building. And I'm gonna give you an example. We were doing decimals one time, and what I did was I went to a local restaurant. I got some old menus, and I created for learning. We were dividing, adding, subtracting, and multiplying decimals. I gave them the menus, and what I would do, I would give each group the menus, and they would find their favorite foods on the menu, and then they would a group would add them. Another group may be doing subtracting.
Okay.
Another group may be doing the and what I would do, I would time it. Everybody had 10 minutes to work on that particular domain.
Right.
And then when the time was up, the students didn't move. They just simply passed it. But within that 55 minutes, everybody did something different. And see, now that's my definition. And times have changed, and I still don't have. I think the definition of DI is infinite. It's ongoing. But what we want to see, or what we're looking for when we come in, you are a great facilitator. You handle that. You teach with confidence, which is important. Your knowledge of the content, you know your stuff, But what I would like to see in the future is when I come in, I would like to see you a little bit behind the scenes and sort of let it be a little bit more student-centered learning. I used to do this thing, and I don't want to overuse what I used to do, because times have changed. But I used to do group symposiums. We had to do that at Fort Valley.
Yeah.
You did it, I did it, and some of us didn't go to Fort Valley.
Yeah.
But what I would do if I would come in and I would give my students, okay, this is what I was going to use to teach a class, and of course it's not over their head. I give it to them. What I expect for you in your own language, in your student language, I want you to show me that your students, that your peers understand what you're going to do. So they taught the class, and I just sort of sat in the back, and what that did was it gave my students a sense of ownership in what was being taught, and it built the esteem of the learner, because my pedagogy is if I build the esteem of the learner first, then teaching them will be different. And I see that with you. Even when your students are not, they're always on task, but when they don't have the correct answers, you don't beat them over the head. You lift them and you give them options, which are characteristics of a great teacher. You work really hard. You work really hard with what you're doing. I want to see you put them out front more, and you sort of breathe a little bit. Okay, and I think we have a couple of things that may help us reach our goal here. Goal 1 is expressing your professional values, meaning that expressing the vision that you have for your students and how they want to learn it.
Right.
Would you like to expound on that for me, please?
Well, when I was looking at that, in parentheses, it has expressing vision for improving curriculum and instruction, and that goes back to the planning piece. When getting the lessons together to get them more involved, where they're taking that ownership. I feel like in some of my lessons, like you said, I need to kind of step back a little bit and let them guide the lesson, and I just kind of facilitate, walk around, and in doing that, that will be at the beginning when I plan the curriculum and instruction.
Awesome. And you do your SAMS meetings.
Right.
You participate in 100% of your SAMS meetings, and there are things that we have in place for you in the future. You know that's going to give you more of an initiative because responsibility is going to be put on you a little bit more in the future, and that's a good thing. It's always good. And the goal number 2 we talked about was the organizing and planning piece. You touched on that a little bit, but I like what we've come up with, the solutions and the problems. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
And you can kind of see everything kind of detailed around that planning, because just personally, I'm kind of more of an impromptu person, so I can kind of go on the fly.
Yeah, myself too.
And that's kind of, which is good in a sense, but kids now, they kind of need that structure, and that helps them even more. So that's why I kind of am weak at, because I'm kind of good with kind of going on the fly, so I can just sit back and plan it.
Absolutely.
And it makes it easier for me in a sense, and the kids will know where they need to go. They'll know where their goals are instead of kind of getting it as I give it to them.
Good. And that's important. The overall gist of this entire meeting is being able to step outside of your comfort zone,
Right.
and try different things, go in different directions. It was difficult for me too. I thought if I used a smart board all the time, that I would lose the connection with my students.
Right.
But technology has taken over, and I had to sort of play second fiddle to technology in order to stay on track with what the state and the local district expected from me. But you can do it. There's no doubt in my mind. And the first step is being honest with yourself, and I think you've been quite honest with the goals that we've set, and realizing that DI is an area that we all can grow in. Even as an administrator, I practice DI every day because I cannot deal with the situations the same. Every situation is different, and I have to adjust to it. So it's an ongoing process, but I think you're headed in the right direction, and I'm excited. I'm excited about your future. Stay level, stay grounded, take it on the chin sometimes, and progress, because that's the stuff that make you good. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.